reason you clicked on the thumbnail. We're going to talk about our NFC North season predictions. So if you're Vikings, Bears, Lions, or even the Packers, we're going to take and talk about each team and how we predict them to go. This is one of my biggest series I do throughout the year. We got a Packers superfan and fellow podcaster, good friend of mine. I got this, Justin Sports. What's going on, Justin?
It has been way too long, Doug, over a year. And, we have been trying to link up. So what better time to link up than an NFC North preview, like where there's only one good team. No, I joke. There's only really one good team in the
division. I got some pushback. Oh, man, Justin, it's so great to have you on the show, man. Now, folks, you clicked on this episode, so we're going to talk it 3 to 5 minutes on each team. We'll go over free agency real briefly, draft real briefly, and we're going to Justin will give his take, I'll give my take, and we'll go on to the next team. Before we do that, Justin, please let the good folks know where they can find your super awesome show.
If you can't find us, you're not looking, put that hashtag in before this just in, or you may be going to Max Kellerman's show, and we don't want to hear Max Kellerman. We want to hear me. So every Monday night live, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, we are on YouTube. You can follow us also on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, especially those 3 places. Hashtag this just in. You don't want to be taken to Max Kellerman's somewhat dull takes on ESPN.
Shout out to Max, man. But yes, this Justin Sports, I'm gonna have everything down below. He just said in the description, and let's go ahead, let's kick off the episode. So y'all go down in the description, check out my shows, check out my homeboy's channel, and thank me later. It's super dope. We're gonna go ahead and kick this episode off with the very exciting Detroit Lions. Now, Detroit, man, was from free agency, getting guys like DJ Chark. From the NFL draft to getting guys like Aiden Hutchinson, the electric Jameson Williams. And then on top of that, you already have weapons out there like Amon Ross St. Brown.
Amon-Ra St. Brown. Oh, my.
I butchered his name a little bit. Sorry.
If there's a player I like, and especially a fantasy sleeper, I'm not entirely late, Doug. So last year, it's my first year in fantasy.
Yeah.
Amon-Ra St. Brown almost single-handedly won me that fantasy league. Because Derrick Henry went down, and oh my God, he was a stud.
Man, he's amazing, dude. He's so exciting, man. Almost had a freaking interview with the guy, man. It didn't happen, but he's a really special talent. And let's talk about this just really briefly. Detroit Lions got to have at least a top 7. They may be number 6 or 7 wide receiver room. At this point, with Jameson, we got to see what he does in the NFL because he ain't stepped on the field yet. But hot dang it, man, it's really exciting. They got Jared Goff, who is Jared Goff, and he could do Jared Goff things. But could we be seeing a resurgence of him in his career? You have that amount of talent. The O-line got built up. Just freaking exciting. I mean, and let's talk about this defense real briefly. I mean, John Pascal, DN from Kentucky, and then you got Kirby Joseph, safety, a.k.a. Hitman, on the field ready to take off heads, right? So coming out of Illinois, I'm gonna say this, man. There's 2 teams that I have competing to win this whole division, and I'm gonna say this, man. I got Detroit Lions taking in going 10-7, making the playoffs in the wild card.
Woo-hoo.
Hot take, light me on fire. Let's go. We heating things up in Detroit. My guy Justin, man, what you got, man, for Detroit, man? I know you're a Packers fan, but
no, I mean, if there's a team on the raise and they want to show some love. If there's anyone in the NFC North outside the Packers will do that for, it's Detroit Lions. And the reason I'm going to say this, Doug, is because I like how they have built what they're doing up. Not only my man Dan Campbell, who's there looking to bite out kneecaps, but the Detroit Lions are rebuilding the team the right way. I am an old school guy, so I believe in building teams from the lines outwards. Mm-hmm. So from your offensive and defensive lanes and then go out. And that's what you're seeing the Detroit Lions doing. We all know that they took Aiden Hutchinson number 1 overall. I kind of think that Kayvon Thibodeau was the best player in the draft, but to take Aiden Hutchinson number 1 overall, they can't knock that as a specialty or a premier position, a pass rusher. You can't ever go wrong taking one of those. I like what Dan Campbell is bringing. I'm not sure if you would have seen Dan Campbell, the player, but that has just transitioned over to him as a coach. This Lions team is built, in my estimation, the right way. And then when you look at what they did last year, a lot of people don't realize They beat us towards the end of the season. Granted, we rested our starters in that last game in the second half. They beat, I want to see, was it the Chicago? No, they beat Minnesota Vikings. They pushed the Pittsburgh Steelers to the edge. Like I think that game ended the tight. A lot of people also forget, I think the first game of the season, San Francisco was blowing them out the water, and then they came all the way back, lost that game by 1 score. It took a miracle throw first from Lamar Jackson, and a miracle kick from the best kicker I've ever seen in Justin Tucker for the Baltimore Ravens to get away. This is a team on the rise. I don't know if they're going to squeeze out 10 wins, but I can assure you, in years to come, if they can improve our quarterback play, if they can move on from Jared Goff next season and find its heir apparent, this is a playoff team on the rise. You spoke about this. Amon-Ra St. Brown is the truth. And then if they can get a healthy Jameson Williams towards the back half of the season, Doug, I can't see why this team is not going to be competitive in at least most of the games they play.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Super fun team to watch, man. And another team that was really weird on draft day, but I kind of see what they're doing. Let's talk the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota Vikings, man. You have Kirk Cousins as your quarterback, but I like their draft. Free agency, the only thing I could think of was Patrick Peterson. They brought on one of the guys from the Miami Dolphins, which was literally the worst O-line in the NFL. And Vikings fans are, oh, depth signing. Trust me, he'll probably take and be cut by the end of preseason. But Vikings fans, I'm not here to bash your team. I do have some positive things I do want to say. We'll start off. You guys beef up your secondary, and when you are facing off against badass Aaron Rodgers, rocket arm Aaron Rodgers, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, Aaron Rodgers, may hurt you to say that for y'all to hear that, but it's important to get guys like Andrew Booth in the second round. It's important to get guys like Lewis Seen, who is an absolute hitman. Not a flashy pick, but, man, one of the best secondary players in this year's NFL draft. So I love those picks. Moving on to later in the draft, Brian Asamoah, linebacker. Dude, this guy could be a Pro Bowl probably by Pro Bowl player by year 3. Coming from the Oklahoma Sooners, I had the pleasure of having him on the show and interviewing him. Check out the interview if you get a chance. Brian Asamoah is a dude. He's all about business. And even after being drafted and getting the nice draft bonus and everything like that, he's all about business. And he's going to be taking care of business for the Minnesota Vikings. I expect him to be very successful for years to come. And he's a hybrid linebacker, so he could guard your receivers. Again, kind of a secondary player, but he could also blitz and live in the nightmares of some of the quarterbacks around the league. And then you have your deep threat, a guy who slid, and I expected to go no later than third round, Jalen Nailor, coming out of MSU, Michigan State, Spartans. Dude's an absolute beast. A lot of teams wanted him. He was on a lot of draft boards. I saw pre-draft. He was actually visiting with the Bears and the Packers, actually. And I believe Detroit as well, too. So he ended up landing in Minnesota, but he's somebody I think is going to do really well. And having that piece, and then also as well, you have what's the number 1 receiver in Minnesota again?
Justin Jefferson.
I'm having a senior moment. Sorry, y'all, when I become 33, it's all downhill. But Justin Jefferson, who's, in my opinion, top 2, top 3 best receiver in the league. So you have him there for Kirk Cousins. But again, my biggest issue with this team, and there's a lot, we could talk about Adolfo Mensa. Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, the new manager for the team. And he's making a lot of business-friendly decisions. They kept trading back in the draft for more capital. I love these moves. And I'm excited to see what this team looks like underneath him as a manager 5 years from now. Even 3 years from now, we're going to start seeing these things come to life and Minnesota be a dominant team. But I don't think that's going to happen this year. I actually have the Minnesota Vikings finishing off the year. They'll tease us, but I think they'll get to 9 wins and miss the playoffs probably by 1 or 2 games. So very competitive division here. So I have them going 9-8. Justin, what you got?
I think in 9-8, 10-7. It all depends. I think the 2 big additions you didn't even add in my estimation. First, the new head coach, obviously, Kevin O'Connell. I almost called him O'Donnell, mixing up with the actor. But Kevin O'Connell, and the reason why, you had to move on from Mike Zimmer. Mike Zimmer is an a tremendous defensive coach, like, and especially when you're talking about secondary. But defensive coaches, especially secondary coaches, tend to get very, I want to say, passive, very vanilla on offense. And you saw that, like, it was clear he didn't trust his kickers. I mean, Minnesota's kickers have been bad throughout his tenure there, so you can understand. And he didn't trust quarterback. He didn't trust Kirk Cousins. So it was a lot of Dalvin Cook.
Yeah.
And I don't think that the weapons were utilized enough. Like, you have Adam Thielen, you have Justin Jefferson, who you're correct in saying is no worse like a top 3 wide receiver in this league. You have to open up your offense, especially if you're trying to compete with my Green Bay Packers, and that's not any hubris. It is what it is. I think it depends on what we see, and the reason I think that Kevin O'Connell is such a huge addition to this team, if you notice, for the last 2 seasons, no team has come up in 3 wide receiver sets more than the Los Angeles Rams, who was their offensive coordinator for those last 2 seasons, none other than Kevin O'Connell. So I think that we're going to see the Minnesota Vikings spread that ball around, and they have the talent. I don't know if Dalvin Cook is going to try to become a better pass catcher in the backfield. And here is an underrating signing that has gone under the books, and I don't know if it's a bit of hubris on my part, if it's a bit of being biased. But Zadarius Smith is one of my absolute favorite players in the NFL. And if the Minnesota Vikings get a healthy 80% Zadarius Smith, you got to watch it. I think this player is one of, if not the best outside player that is not just focused on pass rush. You can move him about. You can put him. He's a run stopper just as good as he is a pass rusher. And he has so many different moves. He has a spin. He has a club. He has evades. Like, this guy is the complete package. We just couldn't afford to pay him at that price with his back issues. And then we had a lot of people to pay, as we saw Aaron Rodgers in that massive contract. We kind of knew that there were players we were going to move on from. If Zadarius Smith gives him the impact, or gives them the impact that he did the first 2 years of us prior to injury in Green Bay, and they need it, because you did touch on this point, Doug, and a lot of people don't realize their run defense is really abysmal. Like, I think they were like top 5 in terms, or bottom 5 in terms of yards given up, and they were giving up like 4.7 yards per carry. Like, they're only better than like the Chiefs and the Chargers, who are equally, or if not worse, abysmal at stopping and run. Zadarius Smith is that guy that can pass rush and stop and run. You can rush from the inside, you can go outside. If they get an 80% Zadarius Smith, you can write this down, Doug. This is a playoff team. And if Kevin O'Connell really brings those 3 wide receiver sets and they really toss it around, mix in Dalvin Cook here and there instead of just Tony Rock, this is a dangerous team that no one will want to face in playoffs.
I love it, man. Hey, it's hot take central over here, man. Ladies and gentlemen, before I continue on with the Green Bay Packers, man, go down below in the description. #ThisJustin. That's the name of his channel, man. He's super dope. Football, basketball, they do it all, man. It's going to be down below in the description. Now, moving on to the big dogs in the deep cold. You know, they got the deep south. Y'all in the deep north. Straight out of Green Bay, Wisconsin, man. Green Bay Packers, man. And Aaron Rodgers, the sheriff, he is back. He is back at the vengeance. Hey, look, man, that free agency, the biggest thing that happened for that team is keeping Aaron Rodgers. I understand that they lost Adams, and then they lost, I think, another 2 receivers, I believe it was.
Oh, it was hurtful. Like, I didn't see that coming, but then also Marquez Valdez-Scantling to Kansas City. Like, oh, that was pain, because that is a deep threat. I think 2 years ago he led the league in yards per reception. But go ahead, Doug.
Man, he's super dope. Shout out to his agent, man. They're real cool people, man. But man, he is. But here's the thing, man. With the Packers, they have probably if you're a receiver and you need development, that is the place to be. They develop receivers, man. That's receiver university, except it's not a university. This is professional ball, and they do a very good job when it comes to talent scouting. And much how like Tom Brady can bring and Peyton Manning can bring the best out of players, and sometimes they go to other teams and they don't get the same results. The same thing with Aaron Rodgers. The same thing. Now he's had the same receiver. He keeps his receivers for a long time. Donald Driver, Greg Jennings,
Jordy
Adams.
Nelson, Randall Cobb, onto
Yeah.
Devontae Adams. Yeah.
These are, I mean, Packers just have a history, an absolute history of receivers. Sorry to go on this Packers rant,
No,
but
I love it. I can sit here all day. Let's go.
look, man, I have y'all winning the division. I feel you can't fill shoes like Adams that quick. He's like a generational player. Not generational player, but he's a guy that there's only a handful of dudes like him in the league, right? And I'm not sure he may necessarily get the same results over for the Raiders. But I have y'all winning the division. I have Detroit making the playoffs with 10 wins. But I also have y'all coming in at 11 wins, and it's gonna come down to the wire, man. I think y'all gonna be super competitive. That's why
I have 11 wins as well.
Nice. Yeah, man. So I absolutely love what y'all doing, man. And as far as like playoffs, that'll be an episode for another day. As far as how they do in the playoffs, but I definitely have y'all making it, man. And Aaron Rodgers, I feel like I never saw this coming. I totally saw him becoming a Bronco.
I have some thoughts on that. I didn't see it coming either, and I thought he was going to go to Denver, especially when Nathaniel Hackett got the head coach job. I thought it was just like, it was elementary. It was going to happen. It was just a matter of time. But, I have a theory on that, but I'll save that for another show. Yeah. So you don't replace Devontae Adams, and our wide receiver room is kind of lacking, at least from the outside looking in right now. I would say I love the draft or getting Christian Watson in that second round. I think that is the best value that you could possibly get. Because for me, he carried the first round grade, and he fits the mold of what Packer receivers are. When you look at a Jordy Nelson, you look at a Devontae Adams, bigger bodies on the outside. That's what Aaron Rodgers is typically like. And he's going to have to quickly develop that back shoulder chemistry that he's had with both receivers. But it's not going to be, you're not going to replace Devontae Adams. So here's what I'm going to tell you right now, Doug. The team, shockingly, even with Aaron Rodgers, you are going to see a run-first approach. And it's not exactly out of left field to say this, because since we have taken on, since Matt LaFleur has become our head coach 3 years ago, you have seen the development run. Like this is, when you look at all the offenses that has come from this, I don't want to say Kyle Shanahan because everyone gets mistaken. This tree really started with his dad, Mike Shanahan, from the Denver Broncos winning days. And it's that zone running scheme that all of his disciples have learned from Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan. You've seen Arthur Smith. He moved out from Tennessee. Now he's in Atlanta. Now, again, sorry, names are eluding me, but Matt LaFleur, all of them run that same zone running scheme. And that's why you've seen the emergence of Aaron Jones now. So you're going to see a lot of, like they're going to be a run-first team. And where the Packers are going to hit you on offense is on those play actions. So it's going to be, a heavy dose of Aaron Jones, a heavy dose of the quad father. I'm not sure if you've ever seen the legs on that boy. That boy is massive. I mean, A.J. Dillon. He is a huge dude, A.J. Dillon. Yeah. But you're going to see a heavy dose of those two. And I think where the Packers are going to thrive on offense is off of play action. But the real change in philosophy, and I've seen it over the last 3-4 years under Brian Gutekunst, our general manager, is on defense. And I think we've been known for offense all these years, and all these drafts have been trending towards the inevitable day when this team is going to rely on having to stop the ball. And now that we've got Quay Walker in the first round, like you saw how defensive heavy our picks have been. And so now I think we're going to have one of the best secondaries in all of football. And I'm not saying that out of pure bias, but Jair Alexander's coming back. We all saw how good Rasul Douglas was. Eric Stokes as a rookie last year was flat out great. Then you have Adrian Amos in the secondary. I think, Doug, you're going to see the philosophy of this team gradually change, and it's going to be a run-first team that wins on defense. And it's weird to say about an Aaron Rodgers-led team, but Doug, 11 wins on running the football and playing defense.
I love it, man. I love it. And you brought up Jair Alexander. I forgot to mention him. He's literally one of the best cornerbacks in the National Football League. Not a flashy name. You don't hear him making noise like a Jalen Ramsey or trying to get 3 different contracts negotiated in one season, like Xavier Howard. But he's a team first kind of guy, but man, he gets the job done and a fantastic locker room guy. So, 11 wins. I got y'all win the division, man. And then moving on to the gloomy part of the episode, but if you're a fan of any of the other 3 teams, you're probably happy about what we're about to say. Chicago Bears, man, your draft looked like a Dallas Cowboys draft. They usually go O-line, O-line, O-line. They drafted 3 offensive linemen. And then on top of that, they brought in Julian Davenport, which I think was the highlight for them this whole offseason, to be honest with you. But I do like that pickup coming from the Colts. That's a nice. And Dakota Dozier, who's just a mid-range guy. Other than that, it's just a lot of depth signing. No real star on that team. I can't think of like one star on that entire team, man. And then of course, so you got a bunch of young guys that you got to take and develop, man. I like what they brought on board. You got O-linemen who were veterans, and you got O-linemen who were drafted. And people are listening like, Doug, why you keep talking about the O-line? Like, let's talk about something. No, their quarterback needs to develop. I saw some stuff, and I remember being pre-draft. I was like, man, he's the real deal, man. Like, he could be another Lamar Jackson style type player. He has an arm of a pocket quarterback, and he could run it too, right? But his decision making was so poor. Now, I remember saying that about Lamar Jackson his rookie year. I was like, and then the offseason happened. I was like, wow. But also, he's on the Baltimore Ravens, which is a world-class organization, and Chicago Bears are not. Now, I have a lot of Chicago Bears fans who are subscribers of this channel. I love y'all. Please don't unsubscribe. But if you do, I understand, because I have y'all only winning 3 games this year. I have y'all getting the first-round pick for the next year. And hopefully y'all could get some offensive stars. But you could have O-line. Let's say these O-linemen, right, Justin? Let's say out of 32 teams, they're the 17th best O-line in the league. Or let's say, who does he have to throw to?
Yeah, you just lost. Like,
Allen Robinson's gone
to Chicago. I mean, to the Rams, and he wasn't really good last season or great last season anyway. Granted that the quarterback play was less than stellar. I'm glad that you touched on offensive line, because you've heard me to start this program. I believe in building your teams from the lanes up. I've said this over and over, Doug. Football games, we as fans and as people who watch the sport or comment on it or analyze it, we get caught up in watching quarterbacks and the skill position players. Sorry, Doug. Football games are won in the trenches, and we've seen that in all these Super Bowls. We saw that in the last Super Bowl when who wrecked the game plan, who basically won that game towards the end, Aaron Donald. And they said they could not pick the Cincinnati Bengals to win the Super Bowl because their offensive line is too much of a liability against one of the best pass rushers and one of the best defensive fronts. Yeah. So to see all of that, I sat down and I watched, obviously, because they're in my division. I played them twice, and I got to see a lot of Chicago Bears football. I think Justin Fields has a bright future, but first you had to get rid of Matt Nagy, and thankfully they did. And that offensive line needed to be improved. That kid was running for his life. He was going to get killed up there.
Hey, Justin, he's a runner. He's a track star.
and he had to be last season, Doug. He had to be. Like, it's one of the worst, if not the worst, offensive line. So I'm glad that they addressed that, because it's one thing. And let me see Matt Nagy, for whatever purpose, whatever reason, whatever brilliant thinking he had, did not play to the strengths of a Justin Fields, didn't move his pocket around a lot. Because as you mentioned, he is mobile. He has the ability to make off-platform throws. He has the ability to extend plays. So I found it weird from a dude that coached in Kansas City. I'm not sure if he was there for the start of Patrick Mahomes, but he was there with Andy Reid. Yeah. Why Matt Nagy did not design the play, the game or the play calling to suit Justin Fields' strength. It was just so weird. So hopefully, like that changes. Now you've had a better offensive line. Now, he's had a full off season of working. Hopefully, Justin Fields, because as much as I hate the Bears, obviously, and we have a chat, the Bears still suck. I don't want to see Justin Fields playing 2 seasons and then calling it a career, and that it looked like that was going to happen in Chicago.
Yeah. He was getting his bell rung, man. I mean, he was getting his bell rung out there, man. It's like hike, and he's a runner. He's a track star. Yeah, it was just like it's like watching a TikTok video every time. And if there was a TikTok destruction, if there was a hashtag, there was a hashtag on TikTok for sad moments. If there was, it would be Justin Fields would be all over it, man. And it's not necessarily his fault. It's just that they're not preparing him properly, man. I mean, you can't develop like that, man. You can't develop by saying hike, and then you know what are you supposed to do, man? So
I thought it was almost sabotage to hand Justin Fields' development to Matt Nagy behind that offensive lane. It was sabotage.
Oh yeah, and what a joke that back office is in Chicago. I mean, there's some like really wonderful fans, man. Like Chicago Bears fans, I enjoy talking with them. But man, where y'all at, man? Are y'all just in Chicago? Y'all used to be out here loud and proud in America, like, I'm a Bears fan in Rhode Island. I'm a Bears fan in San Diego. Like y'all just disappear, man. Florida, where everybody lives here, ain't no Bears fans out here, man. So
they also had to move on from Ryan Pace, and thankfully they did. You had to move on from the front office. You had to move on from Matt Nagy. And it started fresh, and I'm glad that they did that.
Yeah.
Because we talk, right? Also, not only are football games won in the trenches, but the reality is, you touched on it. There are particular franchises that will always win because they are just run a particular way. You follow tradition. And it's grown, for me, as much as I hate the Bears, it is sad to see where or what our rivalry has become. Like, the Bears have not been known to develop quarterbacks. Like, Doug, look past just our generation, right? I can't tell you the last time the Bears have had a Pro Bowl level quarterback because they're just not traditionally
lost the Super Bowl because of that too, man, against the Colts. Had they had a quarterback, because Colts wasn't playing all, I don't mean cut you off, Colts weren't playing all that in that Super Bowl. They really weren't.
But you have Rex Grossman under center, that's going to happen. Like, there needs to be a culture shift. And you will see, well, the Packers have had the grace of having Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. But you also have a tradition of developing quarterbacks. We've had a tradition of developing offensive linemen. And to your point of also receivers, that's just a tradition of the Packers. Yeah. And hopefully the Bears will get to a situation where their, front office, their culture changes overnight, because what is going on in Chicago, what's going on in Soldier Field is unacceptable.
Yeah, no, it's about to be a migration. It's going to be the year of the bandwagon. There's going to be a whole bunch of them trading in for that jersey you got on your back right now, man. They're like, please take me.
Doug, that's never the rivalry is just real. You're never going to see a Chicago Bears fan ever jump over. It's so bad, right? Whenever I go through O'Hara Airport, right, I make sure to wear Packers stuff, and the heckling and the conversations I get, but I make sure, whether it's my Aaron Rodgers jerseys, my Green Bay Packers backpack, Packers hoodie, I have to rub it into the Chicago Bears faithful. And I love it because that's a strong, proud sports city that deserves more.
Yeah. No, I agree, man. Well, folks, there you have it. Those are NFC North predictions for 2022. So this is the third year that we've done this series. It's one of the biggest series on the channel. Make sure you go down and hit subscribe. But before you subscribe to my channel, my guy, hashtag #ThisJustinSports down below in the description. Check him out. He's super fun. He covers a wide array of topics. He's not just a Packers guy. He covers the whole NFL. And one more time, man, please let the good folks know, Touchdown Nation, where they can find you.
First, thank you as usual, Doug. It's been way too long. So before you even look to or think of looking at our channel, please show Doug some love. Smash that like button, because he puts the time, the effort into putting out content. It's not just cookie cutter content. It is proper content. He brings you the interviews with the guys that we can't get. Doug brings. So if you want good interviews, you want great breakdowns, please like, subscribe, show Touchdown with Doug, some love. And when you're done that, you can also come over to #ThisJustin. Please be sure to put in the hashtag, and you can find us every Monday night on YouTube, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central. You can find us there. You can find us if you want shorter content, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, #ThisJustin.
There it is. There it is. Folks, there you have it. Go ahead, check out my dog's channel and check out my channel. We got some pretty cool stuff here, man. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. More content coming on the way. Catch y'all next time on the Touchdown with Doug Smith.
Time to tune in. Now another sports center. It's a movement.